Hello, let us continue our lesson. So the past lessons, I hope that you uh, pick up lessons there and have helped you remember what you have learned and also learn something new that you could use in your life. So this is the continuation, and let us start with major causes of congestions. Although it is already common, since we have experiences already why traffic jam occurs, but it is still important also for us to know what are those major cause of congestions. There are many of them, but we will discuss only a few the common ones. So one of them is the physical inadequacy. So what does it mean from the word inadequacy? So inadequate, the physical features of the road is not enough. So an example of physical inadequacy is what you can see in your screen right now. So for example, if you go to our town, La Trinidad, this is where we experience traffic jam. This is the intersection below Capitol. We call it popularly known as town. So usually traffic jam occurs here because it's inadequate. So why? The cars coming from this side, from Tumay, who are going to Baguio, cannot immediately pass if there are cars coming from Buyagan. So it's inadequate because if only they have widened this before, if our forefathers have tried to think of what would Latinidad be 50 years later, maybe they should not have allowed construction of these houses, but maybe they were only thinking of the life during that time that this road were constructed. So that's why this road is so narrow. Physical inadequacy causes traffic congestion. So that is what does it mean by that, narrow road or incomplete facilities. All right. So physical inadequacy. So the other cause of congestion. Okay, so the other major cause of traffic congestion is called poor control measures. So what are these? An example of this is when you don't have traffic light or the traffic light are not properly working, traffic congestion may occur. Or if not, the traffic signs were not properly in place, the pavement markings are not clear, or for example, the traffic signs such as no parking or no stopping on these sides are not clearly visible to the drivers, then that may cause traffic congestions. We call that as poor control measures because the measures we are using is poor. It doesn't serve its purpose. So that is one. Then the other major cause is called the human errors. So this is one, and accordingly, human errors is also the major cause of traffic accident. But in as far as traffic congestion is concerned, it could also be a cause of traffic jam or traffic congestion. So an example is lack of foresight, meaning the driver did not see traffic signs, or the driver did not see that there are actually vehicles in front of him, but he still overtake, or there are pedestrians crossing, but he moves fast as usual, and he met an accident. So lack of foresight on the part of the driver. What else? Example is for the drivers, no weekly vehicle checkups. there are scheduled day for most of the public utility vehicles to repair their car, but if you forgot to do that, then it could cause traffic jam if your car stopped in the middle of the road. So human errors, so there are many. It's not the defect of the car, but it's the problem with the human themselves, like pedestrian also were crossing on the place that they are not supposed to cross. They keep on running on the road, and it causes also traffic. So human error. Another major cause, traffic congestion. How do you call this one? This is called poor maintenance. To compare with the major cause a while ago, the physical inadequacy. The physical inadequacy, it's not enough. Maybe it's the road is beautiful, but it's still narrow. It's not enough. But in poor maintenance, the road is not really good, such as this one. If the road is rough road, what do you expect? If the road is poorly maintained, then what do you expect? There will be traffic congestion. So that is one, and those are the main major cause of congestion, and we experience that. That is happening almost every day, and the reason is all of them. Like in Latinidad, for example, physical inadequacy is one. We just installed our traffic light, and we need more of them, and so those are the things. If you put them together, they are the ones causing major traffic congestion. So what else we need to know? Okay, that's for maintenance. An example also of poor maintenance, because if it's poorly maintained, then this might happen. Animals might be crossing somewhere else, and then it causes a traffic jam. What else? Okay, we have here a question. As part of the discussion, which of the following are the places where the objectives of traffic engineering are applied? So you know already that there are 5 pillars of traffic management, and one of them is traffic engineering. So where do you apply traffic engineering pillar? So is it on the habitually congested commercial areas, like in our place, like in KM4, for example, heavily traveled thoroughfares in KM4 still. Where else? Origin and destination. So the question here is, which of the following? So we are referring to a place. So where? So of course the answer there obviously is this one. Am I correct? Oops, no, of course not. So where is the traffic engineering be applied? On these two. Okay. Heavily traveled thoroughfares, habitually congested commercial areas. So places, it's where we are going to apply. It's not the origin and destination. So that is one of the responsibilities anyway. So what else? Okay, so let's just wait. Where are we? Okay, so this is it. It's taking long. Okay, so here we are now. We have what we call as pillars of traffic. To understand more what pillars is, the pillars is the same as poste. So in order for traffic management to stand and be able to achieve its objective, it must have posts. A building cannot stand without a post. Likewise, traffic management needs posts. So we call them pillars. And what are these pillars that we are referring to? As I mentioned earlier, there are 5 of them. And the first one is called traffic engineering. So by the way, other books call these pillars as traffic E's. because they all begin with letter E, as in egg. So traffic engineering. So of course, this is very important pillar because the road cannot be constructed if there is no one that would construct, that would make sure how the road will be uh, constructed. So traffic engineering, what are we going to learn here? Their functions. So how do they work? So how do they work? Okay, meaning what is the responsibility of traffic engineering pillar? And from the word engineering, it's already obvious what is their specific job. So what is it? Okay, so wait for a while. Okay, so what are the functions of traffic engineering? Meaning what do they do? What's their job? So one of them is fact-finding, surveys, and then recommendations of traffic rules and regulations. Traffic engineering, particularly the DPWH, that's the main body of the traffic engineering. What they do is to conduct survey or fact-finding. What will they find? They will determine the need of the road. So, for example, the seat belt alone. Why is it that they are insisting of using seat belt? Sometimes it's not comfortable. That is the product of fact-finding or surveys, where they have discovered that if there is an accident which is unavoidable, um, there is higher chance of survivability, or there is a higher probability of surviving in an accident if you are wearing seatbelt. And that is proven already with so many surveys and fact finding. And so that's their job. It's not the job of the PNP. And also, why is there a need for you to wear a helmet? So it saves more lives than those who were not wearing it. That's what they have found. And also, why do we need to obey traffic signs like the yellow pavement markings on the road? So why do you need to do that? Because they found out that if there is no guide for drivers, usually accident happens. That's why they insist, or they put into law that we have to obey that. So why do we need to carry all the time our early warning device? Because that's the product of fact finding or surveys, where sometimes when you are dilapidated, when your car is stalled on the road, and the cause of accident is when there is no warning given to the cars passing by, and most likely they will bump those cars on the road. So what makes it safer is by better carry with you your early warning device. What is that? The product of fact finding. So that is one. And then another is they also supervise and maintain traffic control devices. So when we see control devices, these traffic control devices, these are the tools we are using to control movement of motorists. So for example, the traffic light, the traffic signs, the barricade in the middle of the road, the humps, what else do you see on the road? The pedestrian lane. Who is maintaining them? It is the traffic engineering. So they maintain that. They also fund them. That's the job, in order to ensure that our road is safe. Okay. And then they also conduct planning of regulation. So they don't only recommend, but they make plan. They are not the one who will make regulations, but they will recommend it. And then maybe through a memo, they can put regulations, or they can recommend or suggest regulations that every driver should follow while traveling on the road. So that is the job of traffic engineering. So it's very important in traffic management. What else? What else is the job of the traffic engineering? So the main agency in the government who is responsible for implementing the traffic engineering is DPWH. You know that, isn't it? So Department of Public Works and Highways. So what is their responsibility? Okay, so this is one of them. They determine traffic law. So such as I've already mentioned that a while ago, why we need the seatbelt, as I've said, is because that's what the DPWH have found, and then they recommend that to the legislative bodies. So they determine what is appropriate, and then they will recommend. So for example, today you are not allowed to drive a motorcycle if there are children riding with you, because it's more dangerous for them. They are exposed more to danger. So that is one. And then pattern, so meaning the style of the road. Will it be curved, or what? Is it slanting, or is it one way or two-way lane road, or they will not be able to continue constructing roads because of the soil condition, and etc. That's pattern. And then they also draw origin and destination. So that means where will the road should stop depending on the conditions of the soil. So that is one of the responsibilities. And then of course they are the one funding also the construction of the road. So where are the money you are paying when you register your car, or when you pay your licenses, where will it go? It goes to the DPWH. So that's it. And then what else? Okay, another pillar of the traffic management is called traffic education. So as I've mentioned a while ago, the cause of the most traffic accidents and also congestion is human error. Now the question is, how are we going to solve that? If human error is the main cause of traffic accident, then how can we solve that? Is it necessary for us to make the road better? But you know, if we compare our speed limit in our country, Korean, for example, they run faster than us. So of course their highways are better than us. It's straight. Japan, for example, also run faster than us. Okay, but for them, they design the road straight. They don't, as much as possible, there should be no curve in the road. So what they do whenever they encounter mountain or stone, they dig tunnels so that the car will move straight. So that is also one of the solutions for traffic accidents. So they have, you know, very few accidents. So what happened to them compared to us is because they're educated. They were educated that in order to prevent traffic accident, it's not just enough that you have license or you are good in driving. You have to also prepare your road, and education can help that. So when we say education, we're not only referring to educate the drivers or educate the people to follow the rules, but educate all of us. So however, in the Philippines and in the context of our discussion, what is traffic education is, first is we teach measures and traffic rules. So when we say measures, we are referring to the safety measures, such as what will you do when you are already on the road, how can you cross. Of course, we teach kids or people to stop, look, and listen, and then we tell them traffic rules, such as when there is a green light or red light, what does that mean? Are you going to stop? When there is red light or green light, are you going to move? So something like those. Every human being should know that. Because all of us are using the road, so we must be educated with traffic rules, traffic signs, and pavement markings. What do they mean? What else? For children, that is very important for the children. We have to teach the children. So teaching about traffic measures, safety measures, and traffic rules should be taught. For me, in my opinion, should be taught when children are already learning lessons in elementary. It's so, to me, it's very stupid to see children learning about geometry and learning about difficult grammar or sentence constructions, which they don't usually use that in their lives, but they need they will be engaged in traffic rules and regulations, but we are not teaching that in the classroom seriously. Instead, we keep on repeating about grammar. So sometimes there's a ridiculous things going on in our education, but these are the things we should include in our education. And we also need to educate our adults, because there are many of them do not know actually the importance of traffic rules. And then for drivers, more importantly, we need to educate drivers. That's why, as of today, as of the recording, recently the government already requires that everyone who is applying for a student permit to drive, we will have to undergo theoretical driving lessons for them to know about the traffic rules, and also for defensive driving. And that is very important. That is part of the driver, because many drivers know only how to drive but lack discipline, the importance of life. So that is being taught for that theory, and that is, I think, a good start for traffic education. What else? So from traffic engineering, we have traffic education, and then we have also the other pillar of traffic, which is traffic still about traffic education. So for drivers, there are 4 basic types of instruction methods used in educating driver. So for purposes of discussion, although it's very easy topic, okay, but let me include this in our discussion. So first one is comprehensive, meaning if you're going to teach driver, comprehensive meaning you are going to let him understand the nature of being a driver, the life of being a driver. Probably let him sit beside a driver, a professional driver, and then see what's going on. That's comprehensive. Understand the life itself of the driver. And then we have traditional instruction. This is referring to like a classroom setup teaching, where an instructor of driving lesson is standing in front of the classroom, and then the student will simply listen. That is traditional. What else? Commentary driving method, where this is the time that the student driver will drive the car, and then the professional driver will observe and then comment and help and direct the one learning on how to drive. And then the fourth one is we call simulation. So when we say simulated conditions, you're not going to drive literally the motor vehicle, but you will be driving a machine, a static machine or a steady machine, like when you are playing video games and then you are holding also the steering wheel, where every feature of the road is already included there, like traffic light, the obedience to traffic rules are already there. So that is simulation. And then there are two kinds of simulation. We have the partial. For example, when you say partial, you will learn only how to obey traffic signs. Global simulations, everything. Like for example, what will you do if police officer stop you on the road? What will you do? What if your car stop or destroyed on the road? What will you do? For example, I bring out my early warning device and then put it behind and in front. So something like that. Meaning global simulation is you will learn not only driving but obedience also of the traffic rules. So while in partial, maybe the instructor will only check you on how you drive, but not necessarily how you obey traffic rules. So that's why it's called partial. So that's the meaning of those uh, types of instructions.